Good afternoon, esteemed principal, esteemed members of the faculty, our chief guest today, Sri Subhash Garg, our trustee, Mr. Lakshmi Narayan, and ladies and gentlemen, it's, it is my pleasure and honor to introduce to you not only the CIC, which is the Chennai International Center, but also our guest of today, Sri Subhash Garg. Well, the Chennai International Center is a non-government organization. We've been functioning from 2017, and we have done more than 213 events, and this is the 214th event of the Chennai International Center. So we in the CIC bring together, thank you. So the CIC brings together intellectual talent from across the country. Whoever is visiting Chennai, we try to bring them together with the audience, and we have three streams of events that we do. One is for colleges, which is our college outreach program as we are doing today. We also have a school outreach program where we take speakers to schools wherever it is relevant. We also do an annual literary festival, which we hope to do in December this year. This would be the third literary festival which we will have. And we also do for the general public. So this is what we bring together. We are an intellectual platform, a platform where minds meet, discuss ideas, and where we come out with transformative suggestions. That is about CIC. Now let me come to this particular event and our chief guest of today. Our speaker today is Subhash Chandra Garg. He is a former Finance and Economic Affairs Secretary to the Government of India, where I had the privilege of working with him in Delhi. He has played a pivotal role in shaping the country's economic policies. He is an accomplished author, and his notable works include the $10 trillion dream, which explores the state of the Indian economy and outlines a comprehensive policy reform agenda. He has also penned detailed commentaries on the union budgets of 23-24 and 24-25, analyzing the outcomes of previous budgets and their implementation. After retirement, Mr. Garg has continued to contribute to economic discourse as a strategist and as an advisor. He has served as the Finance and Resource Advisor to the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh and worked as a consultant for the Asian Development Bank, drafting the Industrial Policy and 2030 Development Vision of Uzbekistan. He is also actively involved with Subhanjali Consultancy Private Limited, offering advice on economic, financial, and fiscal policies. A member of the Indian Administrative Service, Mr. Garg held several key positions, including Executive Director of the World Bank Group and Finance Secretary of Rajasthan. He is a qualified CMA and CS with a strong academic foundation in commerce and law. Welcome, Mr. Garg. He has agreed to take as many questions as all of you have, and he wants it to be an interactive session. So I would encourage all of you to put on your thinking hats and please fire away at Sri Subhash. Thank you very much. Please.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Very good afternoon to Mr. Chandramouli, Ms. Lakshmi Narayan, the principal of the college. I think she is here, the head of the economic faculty, and all dear students. So I understand you had your college normal timings up to about 1 o'clock, and you were waiting for this session. So I hope your sort of stay and your extra time would be a little rewarding today when we have this discussion. So I will try to make it that way. The best way, to my mind, to make it rewarding is to be very interactive. You are a young mind. You have lots of curiosity, lots of questions in your minds. You always try to look for answers, because that's the way to develop. And therefore, please feel free at any stage, in case even during the 35 or 40 minutes I speak, if you have to ask something, please interrupt. But otherwise, once I made my initial remarks, I think let's make it very interactive session. Feel completely free to raise whatever comes to your mind. Never be afraid to raise questions. I think that is the first condition to mind. So, what I will do today, I think the subject which is agreed to is, no, I think we fine. Subject which we have agreed is to speak on what goes by Viksit Bharat or the developed India, and how the budgetary processes or budgetary decisions make that dream of Viksit Bharat in a way realizable. When I was sitting there for a couple of minutes, I was looking at this pamphlet here. This also mentions certain thirst areas here: the economic growth, investment and savings, sustainable agriculture, food security. All these are monetary policy and things like that. All these are important constituents of what I am going to speak to you about, and therefore you may very well treat that this is part of your study, part of your course, and this is relevant for what you do. So let me start with the first question. The first question is, if you discuss Viksit Bharat or developed India, what is Viksit Bharat? What is developed India? I think, is there a definition? Is there a conception? Is there an understanding? Prime Minister speaks about in Viksit Bharat by 2047. You have heard about $5 trillion economy. You've heard about $10 trillion economy. So what is Viksit Bharat? Now, Viksit is development. So first, I think we need to, we may know a little bit about India. So the real enigma is the development. So what is development? So how or when can India be considered as Viksit or developed, right? That is where the game becomes little dicey, and a lot of people have sort of tried to proffer different. Somebody says that if we become $25 trillion economy, we'll be Viksit. Somebody says 45 trillion, we'll be Viksit, right? Somebody says something else. But as of now, and I'm making this statement with responsibility, that there is no defined sort of notion or definition of what is Viksit Bharat officially. Right. I don't know, in your courses, in your studies also you might be discussing this. Have you come across a definition which can say that this is the test, or this is the time, or this is the benchmark when we can say that India has become developed? So if it is not there, doesn't matter. We need to go there. So for that, I'll attempt something, because this is not official. I will try to attempt to sort of give you a sense that what can we, the citizens of India, the students of India, the people of India, can think and do or treat that this is the time, or if we do this, then we can be considered as developed. In this, I will draw analogy from the kind of work which international agencies do. They try to come up with some notions of development. If you would have studied, some of you definitely would have studied, at some point of time, the UN system used to do a classification. Least developed countries, developing countries. They didn't do developed countries, but these were the two more common LDCs, least developed countries, and the developing countries. There was a certain criterion. India was also considered or was part of a least developed countries at some point of time. In middle of 80s, we got out of that tag and we became, or we were considered more as developing countries. Now, from developing to developed, there is another system of classification which is used, and that is the system which the World Bank uses. I happen to be in the World Bank system for quite some time, but that's not the reason I'm bringing it. Because today, this seems to be the only standard system which is recognized all over the world as some sort of qualification. Uh, it doesn't define the developed as such, but what it does is it classifies the countries, and there are 196 members of the World Bank system. It classifies them into three broad income groups. Right? One is known as upper income countries, UICs. The second group is considered as middle income countries, MICs. And the third group is considered as low income countries or LICs. So there is an income based classification or a criterion, right? Uh, there is a cutoff. The last exercise was done for our year 22-23. They do it calendar wise. So 22 was the last exercise done so far. And the cutoff was 13,845. Remember this number, 13,845, or let us say 15,000 to make it little round number. $15,000 per capita per annum. Now let us just, to make it a little simpler, so if per capita means per person, that if a person's, and per annum means per annual or annually, so if a person's annual income is $15,000 or more, then that person is a high income person. And if the average income of all the citizens of a country or residents of a country average $15,000, then that country is high income country. Then there is second classification. The cutoff is somewhere around 4,140 for the in fact, then the middle income countries are divided into two subgroups: lower middle income countries and the upper middle income countries. The lower middle income country, the classification starts somewhere around 1,200 or so. If your average income is $1,200 per capita per annum, then you are part of the middle income. Up to 15,000, 13,845 as I spoke earlier. So from 1,200 to about 15,000, everyone is in the middle income country, right? And the middle income country, the cutoff, the lower middle income, 4,400 or so, and 4,000 to 400 to about 15,000 is the upper middle income countries. And those who are less than 1,200 or 1,250 or so, they are the low income countries, right? So that is the income based classification. We may consider that these countries which are in high income classification, they are developed, because what happens when the income is a primary means by which you can buy health, buy goods, buy consumption and other things. So income is a primary way to make your life better and be considered as developed. So this is the framework which we can in a way use. Now, where is India currently? India currently has the average income of about $2,400 per capita per annum. So we are in the lower middle income group. Right? To get into the upper middle income group, we'll have to travel to about 4,500. To get to the higher income groups, we'll need to travel to about 15,000. So there is a large gap from $2,400 to 15,000. Right? And if we are able to sort of increase our income by that, then we may be considered as a developed country. That's one way of looking at this. Just to put it into the context of our country, $15,000. I am sure all of you know, a dollar is about 83, 84 rupees today. Let us take for easy calculation 80 rupees to a dollar. So 15,000 multiplied by 80 rupees makes it about 12 lakhs rupees per annum. So 12 months, it makes it 1 lakh rupees per month. So anyone in India who earns more than 1 lakh rupees per month can be considered as part of the higher income group. Now you can relate in your families. Some of you definitely, your parents might be earning more than 1 lakh rupees per month. But remember one thing, it is not per family, it is per person. So if you are a family of 4, then it becomes 1 lakh into 4 is 4 lakhs. So if your family of 4 is earning 4 lakh rupees a month, then you might be a high income. And I think going by the general classification of India, the families which are earning 4 lakhs of rupees a month are very few. Right. So you can then get a sense that wherever you are presently, some of your family might be earning 20,000 rupees a month, some of them may be 50,000 rupees a month, and some of good families might be 1 lakh rupees a month for. Very few would be probably more than 2 lakh rupees. And I don't think in this group anyone will be more than 4 lakh rupees. But that's what it is, right? And then if you think that you can be considered as part of a developed country, remember then everybody's average income is expected to be that. It's not few people, it is all the people, average income per capita. So that is our challenge. If we want to be really considered as developed country, then we will need to crack and rise, make ourselves richer to reach to that level. That is, I think, the point number 1 which I wanted to make and sensitize you about. Let me just give you a broad classification of the current world. So as I said, there are 196 members. So 83 of them today are considered high income even today. There are countries in the world which have average income of $1 lakh per capita. Cutoff is 15,000, but they have income of this level today, right? There are many countries like United States and others who have 50 to 60,000 dollars per capita. That is the level of income which they have. So 83 of them are already high income countries, right? Then as I said, the middle income is uh, of two types, the lower middle income and the upper middle income. And as things stand today, 53 of them are upper middle income and 53 of them are lower middle income. Total 106 countries are, that's correct. That 196 is 216, not 196. So there are 104, 106 countries which are in the middle income. So 53 are upper middle income. We are not there. We are in the lower middle income, which is the remaining 57, which are in the lower middle income countries. 53 which are in the lower middle income, and we are on the lower side of the lower, because lower is 1,200 to about 4,400, and we are 2,400. So we have a very large challenge to go. There are only about 26, 27 countries which are now considered as low income. Very few countries in Africa, etc., are left out. Everyone is in the middle. All our neighbor in the country, in neighborhood, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, all of them are also in lower middle income countries. Some of them have higher income, including Bangladesh, than us. But that is, all of us are into that group. So this is our challenge. Now, the next question comes to, if we want to raise our incomes to this level, what do we do? Right? What is the income? Income is very close to what we normally also discuss, the GDP, the gross development product. What is GDP? GDP is the aggregate of all the goods produced and goods and services produced in the economy and sold and consumed. So you have eaten food in the day, you have come to the school. School provides education service. Food is what is we eat. We are sitting on chairs. Chairs is also a product. We are enjoying or using the electricity service to provide some circulation in the room. That's also a service. So all the goods and services, he is recording the session, so that's also a service produced. So all the goods and services produced in the economy, their value added is what is known as GDP. So GDP divided by, I'm just trying to make this little simpler for your understanding. GDP divided by population is per capita income, roughly. You can take it that. There are some nuances, but for the purpose of our discussion today, we can treat it like this. So GDP divided by population is per capita income. So it can increase if the GDP increases or the population falls, right? So there are countries where the population has started falling, including China now, which has gone into the falling group. We are still rising. We are rising, though not at very high rates as we were doing earlier. We are still rising about 0.8% per annum. So that is the denominator is also rising, and if that makes that if you have to really make your per capita income grow, you will need to grow your GDP very fast, right? Otherwise, you can't increase your per capita income. That is the challenge. Now, you would hear lots of discussion about GDP growing, India being the highest or growing country, 7% GDP growth. We are the best, we are the largest growing country in the world, and things like that. So, I hope your students, you would do the calculation. If 100 is today a GDP, you grow at 7% per annum, how much time it takes to become 200? So 7%, typically it will take you about 11 to 12 years to become from, or to go from 100 to 200. Right? That much time is required. It doesn't grow on the tree. It doesn't grow on in day one. You cannot just inflate your GDP by talking about it. It has to be earned. It is a hard work. And the goods and services you need to produce, you need to export, you need to make a lot of investment, and so many things which are also mentioned here need to be done. But still, you will take a lot of time. So my calculations suggest, and that is where I'm bringing you to this discussion, that if we are at about 2,400 dollars per day today, and we have to reach to $15,000, by the way, dollar also depreciates. So there are different calculations that if you take 2050 as the cutoff of 2047, then you would need to grow your GDP per capita or per capita income to 25,000 per person per capita by 2050. You are at 15,000 cutoff today. In 25 years, you'll need to reach to $25,000 per capita. So going from 2,500 or so to 25,000, about 10 times, will require you to grow in dollar terms at about 10% per annum for 25 years. Right? That is the challenge. There have been periods where some country or the other has grown for 20-25 years at this high rate of growth, but they are very few. It's not easy. So if you want to make India a developed India by 2050, I sometimes use it because 2050 would be the year when we will complete 100 years of our republic. Right. So 2047 is reference to British getting independence, and 2050 is more of our own, because that is our country adopting, we the people adopting the constitution, and then becoming a republic in the country, making India a republic. So 100 years, so 2050, roughly 25 years, if you can grow at 10% per annum in dollar terms for that long, I don't think you need to get discouraged. It's a doable task, but it is very demanding task. That is where I come to my second part of that what can the government policy, government budgets can do to help India make towards that. More important is all of us, all of you participating in that journey. That I will try to do in the third part before I conclude. So that is where the budget. So I don't know. Some of you might be listening to budget speeches. Some of you might be knowing, following the budgets a little bit. I have also started writing a book every year on the budget. My 24-25 budget book is just out last fortnight, because to me this makes a lot of difference, a lot of importance need to be attached to it, that what is the government doing in terms of allocations of expenditures, and what it is doing in terms of the policy reforms. So there I see couple of major opportunities and couple of major challenges. That I'll focus in this. Let me see the opportunities first. All of you are aware that there is major transition happening all over the world today, and that transition is in terms of switching over from the fossil fuels to renewables, right? Because we have used so much of coal, so much of oil, diesel, petrol, and these kind of things, that as a result, we are putting so much of carbon in our atmosphere that it is now reaching, or it has already reached, dangerous proportions, where you find the climate change taking place, you find the average temperatures going up every year. And what the scientists calculate, that if from the pre-industrial period, please remember this, the comparison, when you hear we have to contain it within 2 degrees Celsius or what, then the reference is that from pre-industrial period. Because what happened was that in the pre-industrial period, there was no use of coal, there was no use of petroleum products, and the world was working more on the biomass and other things, and it was a smaller use. As a result, the emissions were very small, and the climate and the temperatures were more or less quite stable for centuries. For about 10,000 years, the temperatures were very stable. But as the industrial revolution started, and humanity started using more and more of coal, and then petrol and these kind of things, the emissions shot up. Right. Just to give you an idea, today, roughly about 16 to 17 trillion tons of the fossil fuel is dug out of the earth today and is used, and we emit, or we are putting into the earth's atmosphere something like 50 gigatons of the emissions carbon, and that is acting as a big blanket of greenhouse gases, resulting into the rise in temperatures and in the climate change. So there again, people may see threat. There are lots of studies which now say that we have very small of the carbon budget left. After some time, the world will run out and we will cross this 2%. And at that time, what happens to the atmosphere, what happens to the rains, what happens to the temperature and these kind of things, we will probably have a very miserable event. And it's also possible that there might be some events which we can't arrest, and humanity might suffer. So this is the scare kind of scenario. But for economists, for people like us, I think you can see enormous amount of opportunity there. Where is the opportunity? The opportunity is that you do everything which is required to make this transition. For example, so if the electric vehicles, for a minute, is an answer to the fossil fuel driven vehicles, then let us produce more of the electric vehicles. So you make investment, more of investment in the electric vehicles. If generation of power by coal is carbon inefficient, it makes our environment bad, and the generation of power by renewables is the solar or wind is the right answer, then you make investment in solar and wind. If sort of sucking the carbon from the atmosphere and putting it back into the earth is the answer to reduce the carbon load of the world, then make that investment in those technologies. So if you see this change of the climate change as the opportunity for making investments, you will find that this actually offers you a great kind of investment opportunities for growth and raising incomes if we do it. So today, for example, China produces about 70% of the world's solar, and they are earning. So if they are earning by this, we can also earn by doing something like. So I think the first biggest opportunity which we need to think about is to see that this climate transition, the pollution control of what it is offering, we must seize and make our growth come about by these means, right? The another big opportunity is in the digital side. You seeing the transformation which is taking place all over the world, the kind of speeds which we have, kind of capacity which we have in our phones, in our computers, in our other capacities, and now increasingly machines becoming intelligent, which is the artificial intelligence also coming in, machines doing so many other things. So that is far more efficient, far more productive. Can we seize that opportunity and take that route to growth in times to come? So there are, and last I'll mention today in terms of the opportunities, the infrastructure provides the best opportunity to grow. It also gives big push to the growth. So if you have more roads, if you have more railways, if you have more data centers, if you have more capacity for cloud, if you have all these kind of investment in your sewage treatment, in your water treatment, you name anything, there are enormous infrastructural growth opportunities. And since India is at a stage where that investment is still to be is required very much, so you have enormous amount, invest in infrastructure, grow, and also make the life of the people better. So for the sake of time, I think if we can identify three big opportunities as the opportunity of the future for us to transition towards the developed India, these are to my mind the energy transition, renewables, etc. One, the digital transition, including AI and all, and the big infrastructure spend. So these are the opportunities. If we can seize, we'll probably make a good progress. If we don't seize, then we'll not make progress. I'll just spend a couple of minutes on threats. The biggest threat, which I think, or the elephant in the room, is the impact of these technologies and the investments on what we usually view as jobs and employment. All of you are studying in the hope of landing a good job. That is, I think, everybody's intent and the reason why you are studying in a way. And if you hear or you see artificial intelligence taking away jobs or automation taking away job, then you might actually be concerned a little bit that when your turn comes to get jobs, will the jobs be there or not there, right? Or what is the, and if the job is there, the logic runs that if if the job is not there, how would I earn? And if I don't earn, then how do I live well, right? And my income will fall rather than going up. You find a lot of concern in the government also about these things. In the latest budget, if you had seen, the government came up with number of schemes to promote employment, right? ELI, employment linked incentive schemes, and internship schemes. I think you must have, because these things concern you so directly, so you might have, many of you must have put some or given some attention to it. Let us be little more, and I think faculty is here. They would be paying a lot of attention to these things. A job is not payment of salary. The fact that you pay somebody's salary is not a job, right? Job is what the goods and services or the contribution you make to earn that salary. What do you do? If you are a teacher, you teach, and that teaching is supposed to be beneficial for the students to land job or to do something. If the teaching is not resulting into any productive employment, then that salary paid for that teaching is not actually job creating. Likewise, if you are working in a factory, the good you produce is the reason why, then that is where you create value, and the value created is paid back partly to you in the form of the wages or salary. That's the job. Now, if those jobs are done increasingly by automation or by artificial intelligence, so you were sort of doing some work in a car factory, now that work has been taken over by robots. So you are not required to do that job. If you are an accountant or a programmer somewhere, and that accounting work is done by the computer program itself, you are not required, so you don't have a job. If that programming is also auto-programmed and you don't have to program, you don't have job. So this is what causes, I think, a lot of concern in the minds of people. But here I would like to sort of bring to your notice that that no job are permanent in the world, right? I'll just give you an instance. Only about 300 years back, about 80% of the people used to work in farms and in rearing animals, because that was the only way the humans were producing their food. And most of the humans were basically concerned for producing their food and eating food, right? And wearing clothes. That's all. That was the biggest ask for that time, right? So almost majority of the people were having jobs in agriculture, right? But if you look at today, there are many countries in the world where the number of people engaged in agriculture is not even 5%. There are some countries where even 1%. In India, still more than 40% of the people are engaged in agriculture. They may or may not be doing much in agriculture. There may be a lot of hidden employment, etc. But world as a whole today uses less than 15%, because India is still a very large contributor of that, and some countries in the South Asia. So world is using only about 15% of the employment in agriculture. So if you were sitting 300 years back and wondering what will happen if by agricultural jobs are taken by someone else, what will happen, right? So that worry was answered by what happened in the industrial and services field. You found the industries expanding, factories coming up and producing so many new goods and services. So much of the housing building materials, so much of the products if you look at your home today, the products which are there are mostly factory made products. And these factory made products generated so much of employment, and along with came so many of services. The banking came, insurance came, driving came, many other services came along, and people got accounting, I mentioned. So many of the new financial services came that people got employed there, right? Now we are witnessing what happened in agriculture in the industrial field. With so much of automation, industries are seeing decline in employment, right? And with the onset of artificial intelligence, etc., we are seeing the decline in the traditional services. But what happens now? So remember one thing. It's not the job which you are interested, It is the income which comes from that you are interested. So if you can have income without job, you are equally well off, right? Likewise, so the the income comes from, because you want to eat something, you want to wear something. So the if the goods and services which are produced by 100 people can be produced by 10, the requirement of everyone is complete still, right? So our consumption is not a worry if employment reduces but the value produced or the goods and services produced don't reduce. So the first thing, if it is there, that everybody's need is available to be taken care, it doesn't matter whether I have job or not. In fact, if we think very creatively and productively, like earlier when agriculture had started becoming very much productive, that lesser and lesser people can take care of the more and more people, the art flourished, security flourished, a lot of people went into the securities and policing and other things, and a lot of things which otherwise everyone who was working in agriculture was spared, could do a lot of other things. So similarly now, I think the way we need to think about is that if today 40% of India's population or workers can produce all that which we need, then the remaining, if they can be diverted towards many other things like sports, like arts, like crafts, like travel, like other things, then not only they would be able to do well, live well, they would also be able to not only earn but also remain very satisfied and productive. So maybe we will, or we come up with new kind of services which can be sort of employed by the surplus which are generated. So I don't think there is need to be worried about lack of employment or reducing employment in the traditional industry and services. What we need to think creatively is that where can we productively employ our people in the new, and if we can't, if we don't have the immediate, we restructure the life in such a way. For example, I'm just giving you a thought. Uh, Today, we count that age 15 is the age when people should start getting employed. So 15 is the cutoff, which was fixed in 1948 as the job cutoff. ILO counts it accordingly. Everyone counts it accordingly. Can we raise it to 25? Let everyone live well, educate themselves, do sports, health, manage, do, then the nation takes care, the family takes care. But up to 25 years, the students need to sort of create abilities in them, maintain themselves, rather than thinking of going into the job market. So there are many ways in which we can take care of it. I don't think there is any need to be disappointed or worried about. Humans are very creative. They will find a lot of answers for the situation as we go along. And I think that's my last message before I stop in the round one, is you as the youngsters must invest your time in building abilities and the capabilities, and also to pursue your talent, your interest, and come up as a more accomplished, gifted, qualified, trained, skilled person before you get into the into the job markets and all. I think the times to come will take care, will be better off if you are more healthy, if you are more happy, and if you are more prosperous, rather than being into some small paying jobs. The future is bright, we need to make it brighter. Thank you very much. So please be.
So-
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, if there are questions, I would request you to raise your hand. The mics will
Yes,
reach you.
right there, the lady.
And then you can put.
First of all, thank you, sir, for coming here. I enjoyed your speech, and based on your keynotes, I would like to ask. So you said that AI is actually the booming sector is AI, and then it's also creating a threat to the employment sector. So what will be the possible ways? You know, there are a lot of AI courses also emerging. So people who AI courses are also emerging. You know, engineering AI courses, engineering courses, and diploma courses. So people who are graduating from AI courses will also require some time to, you know, build up their own financial status and then invest in AI rather than getting employed in AI sectors, because they will be looking for, you know, AI like robots employing things like that. So what will be the possible ways to that reduces unemployment in case of this situation?
See, I hope there is a lot of myth and mystery around AI as well. That what is AI? What is it doing? Whether it will take away my job? What I understand, I am also not a technical person, but what I understand, we have a lot of natural intelligence. Similarly, if the machines have some of the intelligence which we have, more or maybe some have higher intelligence than humans, that is an artificial intelligence. And that artificial intelligence makes the machine, some machines do deliver services to you. For example, a computer configured or let us say chat GPT into your laptop, on your command produces an essay or an answer. Even it can speak in the human tone that this is what your response to it. And what you would have taken some time to figure out, a machine can also figure out the same or in a better way, right? So it makes the machines or like computers, etc., respond to you better, right? So should you be worried by it, or should you think that it enhances your capability, right? Suppose you are a lawyer for a minute, or since we are sitting in economist class, right? You become an economist, a labor economist, let us say, for some company, you become a labor economist, right? And your job is to study the labor industrial relations, labor trained, or your job is to hire labor and all, right? In this, if you have assistance of the artificial intelligence, some people call it minions or assistants also now, artificial assistant, and it helps you know more about the people to be recruited or their tendency about how they would behave in industrial situation, things like that. Will your job not be better off? Right. I give you another very simple example. Till some time we used to use calculators, right? And what was the calculator doing for us? It was doing the calculations very fast. It was not doing calculations for the sake of calculator's interest. It was doing calculation for our interest. We wanted some calculations to be done faster. If I have to do it by writing pahada, that kind of thing, it might take longer, it may not be. And this calculator does it very fast, right? So one thing I would suggest to everyone is to you consider the incoming artificial intelligence also as a productivity enhancing tool for you, right? Not to be worried about. Now your question about you take some course, etc. My sense at this moment is, and I may be wrong, different colleges may be, these courses on AI, etc., are the courses like what you study in physics, chemistry, or macroeconomics or microeconomics. It's more of a theory of the artificial intelligence and how does it neural networks, this is the way they might be working and so on, without actually being of real support to you. So, like it's advisable to know about macroeconomics or the microeconomics, it is good to know about how the AI works, etc. But if you want to make a real use of AI in your life or in your job or in your pursuit of any thing you do, you might better get that handle whoever has developed. For example, as I said, if you're a lawyer for a minute and you want to write a better brief, you might command the AI to do basic research for you first, and then you can improve it to make it final, right? Instead of doing original work. So that is the kind of, I think, way we should approach the AI rather than as a competitor. That's all.
Thank you, sir. I have got a note that we should use AI in a productive tool for us. And then a general question as an economics student, like we have a paper called Developmental Economics, and I carried a research regarding the indirect taxes. So my topic was, is indirect taxes really fair one, or I have gone through some research papers and I have brought to a conclusion that indirect taxes actually affects middle income people, which everyone are tend to pay the same amount, which is really not that fair. So what is your opinion on this?
Good question. So, number one, this is not a correct argument that everyone pays equal amount.
Yes.
What is correct is that everyone pay equal tax on that particular product, right, per unit of the product. For example, if a poor person is not able to buy a car, he doesn't pay tax on car, right? A middle class buys a car which is, let us say, sedan, smaller one. It pays tax on that particular car. If there is a richer person who buys Lamborghini or something, it pays tax on that. So if the price of, let us say, poor buys the scooter, so if the scooter is 1 lakh rupees, the small car is 10 lakh rupees, and that big car is about 1 crore.
Okay, sir,
So even if the rate is same, 28%, you don't pay the same rate of taxes, right? So that is one thing. The other feature of this indirect taxes, which sometimes people find objectionable, is that every good and service is taxed, right? So those who poor consume, for example, they eat food products. The food products everyone eats. So food product you have a tax, you pay tax on everything. But luxury goods, very few do it. So they pay. So sometimes there is argument that why should people poor be paid? Please, in economic terms, economic management, if you follow a tax policy, indirect tax policy, which is very selective, that some products are to be taxed, some products are not to be taxed, or you follow very different rates, you would end up creating a very inefficient system. So same thing might be like say packaged food is taxed at 16%, but same product, if it is not packaged, is taxed at 5%. Then if you sell the food in unpackaged form, you might actually be encouraging ill health in the economy. So there is no need to make distinction between poor, middle and rich class as far as indirect tax is concerned. That required classification or differentiation becomes by the number of or amount of the goods you buy. Poor buys less, middle. The real differentiator tax is the income tax. That is where you don't tax the poor, because there is exemption limit or something. You tax rich by at the higher rate, etc. That's why we call it progressive tax also. So whatever social re-engineering in terms of income which we have to do, let us do it through direct taxes, not indirect taxes.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
So, as a part of our course, we have a subject called developmental economics and
Which economic?
development
Right.
economics.
Yeah, she mentioned.
Yeah. And I think there's a significant importance given to the difference between growth and development. But why are we still sticking on to just income when it comes to classification of countries between developed and developing, given there's already a lot of measures which has already been developed, and but then we're still sticking on to income in order to classify countries as developed and developing. And is this also the reason why a lot of social indicators and investments in social overheads are completely ignored in some countries, which can the word development be a utopian world? That is, how can we actually classify an economy to be completely developed? So this is what my
I think good question. If I have understood it fully, why income be the sole criterion for classifying countries into developing, developed, etc., or not? Why not other indicators? Is that correct? Have I understood?
Yes, sir.
Right. See, number one, there are many other indicators as well, right? So, I don't want to cite, but a very globally popular index is what is known as hunger index, right? Which focuses on the health indicators, and in health also, basically on the nutrition standard, right? It classifies the countries in terms of nutritional standard of the country. So the country with best nutritional standards are sort of ranked high, and those countries with poorer nutritional standards are ranked low, right? And there is a methodology to sort of measure the nutrition standard in children and also in general population and all, that you can use it, no problems. That will give you, GDP is a much larger construct, but even if you want, as I said earlier, being healthy and happy and prosperous is the game. Prosperity may be the GDP side, but healthy you can measure by indexes like the global hunger index. So it's not that they're not other indices which are there, but if we are looking for some index which favors us well and which tries to tell us that we are developed, I don't think you will find that index. There is another one which is also very commonly used, which is in terms of human. So there is a global or world human development index, HDI. There they use 3 criterion. Income is one of them, school education is another, and the length of life is another indicator that if there is a country which lives long, that must be considered as developed. If that country is more educated, can be considered developed. But there again, probably we are not doing very well. So my only request to you is study all indices. Don't discard anything. Right? Okay, it doesn't favor me or doesn't favor you. We should take masses from everywhere. I don't think it's a good idea to even try to design a designer index which will show us artificially better. The best lesson is that you recognize what the fact of the life is and then do everything which is required to make things better and be recognized as developed or in those standards. I don't think if we can remove our nutritional standard deficiency why would HDI, why would the global hunger index show us in that? Why not we remove those nutritional problems? Right. So best is to focus on the cause and take care of the cause rather than try to come up with something which show us artificially better off. Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, madam, please.
So, sir, my question is that we have talked about the 2047 Vikshit Bharat. So, whom do you think it's in the hands of the government or the governance or the people?
Sorry, who is?
So, who's the Vikshit Bharat goal is in the hands of government or the governance or the people?
So, in whose hand is this responsibility?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Government, people, or governance?
Governance.
Right. I think you can take government and governance as one. So,
So let's take it as a politician or the bureaucrats.
right. So there are three main constituents of the big players. You mentioned two of them, the people and the government. There is another one which you didn't mention. It is the business, because all the GDP is produced in businesses. Small, big, super big, whatever you may say. But everything, every good and service which we consume, barring very few which are in government, which we call public goods, forget about that. Even some public sector undertakings are also business undertakings. But bulk of it is produced in the private sector, in the businesses and industry. So these three are the principal constituents of that effort to make India a developed one. All three will have to do their best, right? People, business, and the government. I don't think it's the responsibility of any one. If anyone tries to say that I will do it or I can take care of it, I don't think that will work. So there is a space for everyone. I think for people, if I may put one single criteria, I think many times you would hear that it's your national duty to do it. You should make the nation great. Kennedy used to say, ask not what the nation can do for you, tell me what you can do for the nation. All of this is rhetoric. I think the best national duty any one of us or all of us can do is to be able to take care of ourselves. For you, it is your ability to take care of you. Can you build yourself into a happy, healthy, prosperous person? If all of us, if every one of us can take care of us, of that single person alone, I think we'll become a developed nation. Because if everyone has taken care, as I was earlier saying, if you can today raise your income to 1,20,000, 1 lakh rupees per month, right? And all of us can do it. India will become today a developed country. So the biggest responsibility for the people side of is for everyone us to become capable of taking care of ourselves. Some of us may be more capable. They can take care of their family. They may be still more capable, can take care of community. Some may do the duty for the nation, etc. But everyone individually can do. I think that's the people's responsibility. Businesses' responsibility is to invest in technologies, innovations, produce better goods, produce better services, produce more competitive goods and services, produce the goods and services for exporting and other things, so that you can have more and more contribution to the GDP. If they can do it, that they are serving. Government's responsibility, to my mind, is to follow policies, bring out policies where everyone, and also do budget and other in a way that everyone is able to take care of themselves. And those unfortunate ones who are still left out, who are for physical ailments or anything else, only those are taken care of by the government. And the government pursues policy for encouraging the businesses and people to grow themselves. I think that combined effort is needed for us to all become developed, rather than any one of the three constituents.
Good evening, sir. So I want to ask a question on unemployment. So basically, we reduce unemployment by creating more jobs.
Sorry?
We reduce unemployment by creating more jobs. But in India, we have a traditional mindset where if I go and say I'm studying economics, the first thing that I say, that I see is a question mark. Like economics, that's what they
Sorry?
do. Like when I go and say some person that I'm doing economics, the first thing that I see is a question mark. So, and I have a lot of friends who have, done arts, and they have been sitting in home without job just because they think that they started with a salary of 20,000. One of my friends, but they think this lesser salary is going to take me to a risk after some time. So I don't want that job. I want to quit and sit. So we have a lot of traditional mindset like that. Even if we create jobs, we give more respect to people who are doing doctorate, or administration, who are being IAS officers, IPS officers, something like that. So how do we break this traditional mindset so that a lot of people are getting employed, and then income increases, and then the distribution of income is also getting equal?
I think a very important question, if I have understood, how do we deal with the traditional mindset of studying the arts and those kind of things which have no direct relationship with the jobs and things like. Is that correct? Have I understood?
Like how do we change the traditional mindset?
Correct.
So that
so if that is the culprit, how do we change?
Yeah.
That is the. I think it's very important. It's a very serious question. We should. We are sitting in a college, in a educational institution. One question which we all of us should ask: why are we teaching what we are teaching? Right. Why are we doing this? Is it because this is the way it has happened? My mother had also gone through the college, so I will also go through the college or school or something. If she has studied art, so I will also study art or something. Right. This education, to my mind, is not a static, a uniform, universal, all-time, similar kind of things. Right. Education, if I may, I am conscious that I am sitting in an educational institution and I am not an educationalist. Education, to my mind, does two things, or is meant to do two things. Right. Number one, it sort of familiarizes us with ourselves, our society, our geography. It's basically tells us who we are, in which kind of society, times, etc. we live in, what is geographical, other connections with the other people and all. So it is about knowing, right? Those who are, in biology, we are supposed to study how our body functions and things like that. In some sports, so in mathematics we do how do we calculate and how do we work it out. Geography, we study the geography, etc. So one is this being aware, knowing ourselves. The second part is that every one of us, every one of us is supposed to earn his or her living at one point of time. The humans take longest time to be ready to earn for themselves. 18 years or 20 years, no other animal kingdom person has this luxury of so many years. But they are right in the from the day one or very soon out for searching their food and things like that. But so be it. The purpose or the is off that even if you take 20 years or 18 years, then you should be able to earn for yourself. Right? And how do you earn? You would either acquire some knowledge or by acquiring some skill or some ability to produce some goods and services which can be sold, and out of that income you earn. Right. So my sense is that the second part is completely missing in our education system. We are only concerned about the first part. And there also we are concerned more about the social side, sociology, politics and those kind of things, rather than the real. What is the state of our biological knowledge? I think we are sitting in a college, but how many of us know our bodies? I don't think many would know even the body. How does it work? So, but forget that. That is the big elephant missing in our education system is how do we earn. And that changes so much. In agricultural societies, people are meant to work either in fields or at home, nothing else. And that knowledge they would earn or learn when they were in the...
And sir, even now when we read about agriculture sectors, what is taught in classes from my school is
exactly.
people work in a lot of agriculture sector. They say it as there are a lot of poor people. So like working in agriculture sector is like working in poverty. So that's the mindset they have. So
this is agriculture, because it then had so many people to produce so much less that they remain poor. Right? But what I am trying to say is that industry jobs are also reducing. We discussed earlier. Is our education system sort of bringing the consciousness in people about where they would be able to earn and to equip themselves for earning that? That is where, to my mind, so if I use your expression, if what we are doing today is traditional, we need to reinvent to be futuristic. We need to change a lot. Otherwise, we'll keep on producing unemployable. So you mentioned about IAS and other things. Even for small examinations of clerks, etc., for one job, you find 500 applications. For PN's job, you find PhDs and others applying. That is a travesty of what we are educated.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasant duty to thank our guest. Shri Subhash Garg has come down from Delhi, and we've had the benefit of listening to him for the past one and a half hours. I was very happy that many probing questions were put, and that is what we would like in the CIC to provoke. We would like to provoke thinking. So many of these questions have no single answers. Now, one question was, what is the responsibility? Whose responsibility? I think the government's responsibility is only to lay out the framework for ease of doing business and for ease of living. So this framework, once put in place, I think it's up to the people to take advantage of the ease of doing business and ease of living and then come up in life. And the other question was very interesting about economics. Well, I am also guilty of having studied economics in college. And I haven't done badly, I think. So thank you very much, Subhash sir. and thank you, the management, faculty of Stella Maris College. Now, this is a forum which I would urge all of you to take advantage of. We have regular meetings. Our next meeting is on Kashmira. We have the author here. So that will be on the 7th. And then we have an interesting discussion on the current goings on in Bangladesh. And for that, we have a very esteemed panel which is going to discuss the problems that are taking place in our neighboring country. All of you are welcome to attend these lectures too. They are put on the Instagram and also on our website. And anyone who wants to attend these lectures, you are all welcome to come. We have this as a regular basis, almost 3 to 4 events a month we do. And it's open to the public. I urge all of you to come and take part in these sessions. These sessions are mostly interactive, and I'm sure you learn a lot in listening to our speakers and interacting with them. On that note, thank you very much once again. Thanks to our speaker.
Good evening. I'll keep it short, but nevertheless, I'm very honored and I'm very happy to be here to thank Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, who took his real time off. And in this world of, PPTs and presentations that are very highly technical and rigorous, he made it seem very, very human. He was down to earth and raised a lot of curiosity. His presentation was really lucid, and I'm sure the students will really benefit by it. You raised a lot of interest in this subject of development. I would also profusely thank the Chennai International Center for collaborating with us and hosting the event today. Thank you so much, sir. I would especially like to thank Mr. Chandramouli, the CEO, Mr. Ananthakrishnan, the Executive Director, and the team of the Chennai International Center for collaborating with us and making this possible. I would also like to thank the management and the faculty for making this possible. Management always encourages us in all our endeavors, and I'm really thankful. Last but not the least, my dear students, I really thank you. They've had a very long day, and in spite of that, I see rapt attention. And the questions that you asked really, touched all of us, which means that a lot of thinking is going on. And this is what really we would like for you. So thank you very much. Thank you, one and all.